Outline 1. Introduction. Different people explain nature differently. Village life avoids the artificiality. 2. Hazlitt's views. Love of the countryside is due to the association of ideas. Country life is different from city life. 3. Industrial life in cities. Rush of factories and industries in cities. Pollution in cities. 4. Nature in villages. Natural beauty in villages. Nature as a source of poetry for poets. 5. Conclusion. Essay. The beauty of nature is the nature of beauty. Anonymous. In every age, man has expressed his love for the objects of nature, especially in their softer and milder aspects. Different people, however, have differently explained it. Some have depicted it to the natural beauty of the objects themselves, some explain it as due to the carefree atmosphere of the countryside, some attribute it to the peace and quiet which the countryside offers but the city lacks. Others explain man's attachment to the countryside as a longing for the simple customs and manners of the village folk, devoid of the artificial conventionality of city life. Hazlitt in his essay on Love of the Country analyzes man's longing for the countryside more accurately. In Hazlitt's view, love of the countryside is due to the association of ideas. In the city, natural objects are severely rationed. In a big city like Karachi or Lahore, there are few open spaces, parks and wide fields are more of a luxury. At the present day, industrial advance in varying degrees all over the world has drawn most often village folk to the cities. I long for the countryside. That's where I get my calm and tranquility. From being able to come and find a spot of green. Emilia Lark. There is, as Hazlitt observes, one great difference between the association of nature and those of society. In the club and the restaurant, one meets diverse specimens of men and women. They always act differently according to their different tastes, ideas, and judgments. But the object of nature, in spite of their bewildering variety, are constant in their appeal. The sea with its waves running mountains as well as breakers, the hills rising around a valley like an amphitheater, the rays of the morning sun printing their first fresh kisses on the trees and hedgerows. The moon playing bo peep behind thin layers of cloud and the river bickering at one time and murmuring at another, washing away the sins of human life and blessing either bank with luxuriant vegetation. They are all constant in their appeal. They are in fact an unfailing source of inspiration to men and women weary of the storm and stress of modern life. This constancy of appeal is one of the reasons why man in the earlier periods of history personified and deified most of the universal objects of nature such as wind and rain, the sun and the moon. English poets like Goldsmith, Cowper and others have sung in verse of the pleasures of the countryside. Street Auburn, loveliest village of the plain, where health and plenty cheered the labouring swain, where smiling spring its earliest visit paid, and parting summer's lingering blooms delayed. This is how Goldsmith begins his famous widely read poem. The more imaginative among us may have been struck by the suggestive tunes which the village girls hum as they reap the harvest in the glare of the sun. Some city-bred critics might condemn love of the countryside as mere sentimentalism. Others might object that poets too often idealize the village and the village scenes. It is true that some poets have drawn ideal pictures of rustic life. But in calmer moments, one feels that the pleasures of the countryside are natural and free from artificiality, and love of such pleasures is a normal, healthy exercise of emotion.